Level Design Dungeons and Dragons Shadows in the Moonlight by Håvard Lars Larsen. Inspiration. Okay, first let me say that I'm a sucker for RPGs, or role-playing games, if you will. I like a healthy mix of humor, political intrigue, fantasy, and action. I also heard some of the recommendations for this assignment, and I recall Amit advised us to use pre-existing game engine, while Adrian wanted us to use something in the 3D department. And here we have a logical outcome, in a way I understand it at least. This is where I thought of the Aurora engine, which is famously used by BioWare in many games like Neverwinter Nights and The Witcher 1, while Coder 1 and Jade Empire used an updated version of the same engine. Now, I talked a little bit to Amit and David about this, and they were both somewhat interested, but also cautiously optimistic about the engine. However, Amit told me to just talk about it for now at least, and we'll see where it goes. So yeah, this brings us to level design and map layout. I'm telling a story, and I need to marry both the story and the level design here if I want to make a good RPG level. For example, Adrian pointed to one of the challenges that goes into making an RPG, and he talked a little bit about Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, and its use of internal logic. For instance, Mandalorian soldiers only show up in very specific places and are only relevant to those areas. Similarly, I made a pretty big map of the city where the story takes place, and the city is really big, but the game areas themselves are manageably small. I have deduced where the most important story elements will take place, and we will only be focusing on those smaller yet important areas, in a similar fashion as Coder did with the city of Taris. For this assignment, I will only be focusing on two areas, the marketplace and the castle. Those are the ones I checked here. So in the third assignment, I could perhaps focus on expanding onto the other areas. Still though, because the story is an important component to the level design, let's discuss that topic a little bit more instead. Story. So here we have the pitch. It's epic Dungeons and Dragons fantasy tale meets Hangover the movie. You'll start the game in a small area where you answer a few questions, and then based on your preferences, you'll end up with a hopefully funny outcome. Said outcome will then set the stage for the rest of the game. In the story, you wake up a late afternoon next to a certain somebody, in this case a half-orc lady. Now, you don't remember her name, but you could play it cool and use persuasion, or you could complain, like, oh my god, what did I do? Or you could do what I do and scream internally, I suppose. Next, after some awkward banter, she points out that the lock on the door got busted last night. Okay. So, story aside, I'm now teaching the player that the dialogue choices are a good way to learn about the level and will influence the world you're in. Secondly, I'm teaching combat mechanics in a safe environment because you have to either attack the door or picklock it in order to get out. You can't really die or take damage from the doors, so it's okay to challenge it. But no matter which method you decide to use, you need to explore the room first and pick up the items that help you leave. For instance, you'll find both lockpicks and a weapon in the bedroom. Now, on your way out of there, however, you enter a shady alley and two mean-looking dudes want to talk to you. Here you can use persuasion check again, or perhaps commit an intimidation check, or just flat out attack them. So yeah, you have multiple ways of dealing with situations as taught by just being inside that previous room. Anyway, here I could talk a little bit about mood and tone, but we're almost out of time, so I will quickly just mention marketing instead. I'd be amiss if I didn't mention Pillar of Eternity's Kickstarter campaign, as well as Wastelander 2, which marked the return of classic RPGs in a modern market. Both these games had no publishers, but the market did crowdfund both these games with millions of dollars, showing a hunger for the genre to return. See, I told you that would be quick. Anyway, thank you, and what do you guys think?